Hey guys, welcome back to StarCast Circa Marks alongside James. My name is Ryan. Welcome to the after game review. Dallas Stars get the L tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lose by a final score of 5-3. Thank you to Game Time and to DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsors here. As always, use that promo code THP the next time you are there. Ardell, I don't think a Ryan rant happens tonight. There's no rant tonight. If there was a rant, it would not be about how the Stars played tonight. We can obviously point out some things, but James, what do you take from this game?
Yeah, I mean, the game, the Stars played well, honestly. They played really well when they're struggling with the flu in the locker room. They have multiple key players out. And Otter just, he has a terrible night. I don't know if he has the flu too. It kind of looked like it with how slow he was reacting. Obviously, I'm sure there's multiple players dealing with stuff, but he lets in 4 goals on 9 shots, and that's inexcusable. And the Stars this year have not been able to crawl back from any of those. So some bad play from Otter, and that pretty much spells the end of the night.
I think lots of things can be true about this game, though, James. Otter was, I'll just go ahead, and I know it's the wrong way to do it. It's the backwards way to do it, how we normally do our episodes, but he is by far the biggest loser here tonight. He
wasn't there.
He
just wasn't.
3 of the 4 goals he let in were not good goals. Mm-mm. Or he normally makes a save on some of those, especially the I'm sorry, the Robertson one. That no, and the first
I thought
goal
the McMahon one was even worse.
the first one too. The only one I give him, the only one I give him credit on is the second one. It was just a Nylander shot that was ridiculous, and it was painted for that top corner. Yeah. I mean, but other than that, it's. He had to have known that he was sick, right? And he's played in 8 straight now.
Smith was also sick recently, so maybe he's thinking that too. And I'm sure the team's thinking that too. And it's just it's how it crumbles sometimes.
It's completely frustrating because the Stars were by far the better team until those goals happened. That's literally
even
what
after
it was.
Those goals happened, they were leaps ahead of the Leafs. Maybe not in like the last 5-10 minutes of the second. The Leafs kind of had their number there, but the best the Stars could do was play defense, because anything that made it to the net was in the net. So that's a tough one. But the Stars, for the most part, played really well. Even in the third period, they got some pep going. They pulled their goalie late in the period and got one of the 6-on-5 goals, and honestly, they could have had like 3 or 4 more in that period, if not for Wool on the other side. Maple Leafs goaltender played out of his mind tonight, and that's what makes it so much worse when you look at how Otter played, because Wool saved 3 for sure goals tonight.
And this is just the thing that I'm more frustrated about, because the things continue to happen with the Dallas Stars that we've been talking about for weeks now, James, is just the consistency is not there. I mean, Hintz and Robo do not get on the score sheet today. Ottinger just not good tonight, which that is a rarity. So I will give him a little bit of leeway for that. He's mostly been the one that's been kind of patching up the Stars a lot. And there's just so many little things to pick at that just culminated tonight, James. I talked about how in the last game that it was special teams and goaltending was excellent for the Dallas Stars, and those were the 2 things that let them down tonight. Goaltending especially, honestly, but then the power play was also just as they didn't. I mean,
the power play looked incredible, though. I mean, Wool had multiple block saves that I don't blame them for that at all, especially with how well power play has been popping.
But James,
they could have scored 4 or 5 goals off of that, and Wool was just there for every single one.
No,
yes, he was.
Sorry, I'm going to push back on.
We're not going to agree on that at all.
Okay, well, you'll at least get to hear me out on this, though. I'm not disagreeing with you in the fact that they looked bad here. They did not look bad at all. The power play looked good. But the reality is this continues to be a problem that when you need a goal, it doesn't happen.
But
And
my
you don't get a
point,
goal
my
on
point is that
5
they
hold on, let you talk. When you get 5 opportunities and you don't take care of business with them, which that's around their average for the season is a little less than 20%. When you don't take advantage of that, when you absolutely need one, that's a loss. I'm sorry. That's the stat itself. You can take the little moral victories out of that. It looked really good, and yes, it did. And maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on them too because they have been doing so well at home on the power play lately. But the thing is you have to take advantage of the stuff that you have when your team is not 100%. You got your team who is running through it with a whole bunch of I don't know why the word skipped my brain, the flu, and then your goalie is not helping you out either. So that's just where I stand on that. Is you have to take advantage of it, and yes, they can look good, and yes, we can talk about the moral victories, but the other thing about this though, James, is I feel like I've been making a lot of excuses this year, and this game is not making excuses, okay? Because there are like legit, life things going into this right now. Obviously, everyone's pretty much not feeling all that great. However, we've been making little excuses here and there for this team, and the consistency is not there. And I will go back to the thing that I say all the time is good teams always find a way to win, even when they're not at their best. I have not seen very many games this year where the Stars have not been at their best and they've won.
Last game was the perfect example of that, though.
But they were still good. They were still good, and they had a good defensive game going. Yes, the Capitals had the better chances. I think this game today was just payback for the game against the Capitals.
I don't think that's true at all. I really think Wool stepped up and stole the Maple Leafs a game here. I really think that's what it was. I mean, even in the third period, there was the 3-on-2 break where Miro is wide open on the far side. Wool is completely caught off guard by a cross ice pass, and he just reaches all the way across and makes one of the best saves of the entire season from any goaltender. I mean, that was out of his mind save. And that's what it took to keep the Stars in check in the third period. And he did it like 3 or 4 more times, even early on the 6-on-5. We could have scored 3 times before Blackwell finally put one in the back of the net.
And maybe this is just me more being frustrated at everything that happened tonight, but why can't we beat the freaking Toronto Maple Leafs? It pisses me off so bad. Like it's been 84 years. It really does piss me off that like they are the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL. They keep losing these games against these terrible teams, the Maple Leafs do, and that for some reason the Stars can just never beat them, even though when they do play really good, they still end up losing or getting goalied. I mean, I will always go back to like one of my biggest rants of all time. You can go back to it and watch it or listen to it. It was a 4-0 loss to the Maple Leafs, and it was a shutout, and it was freaking Matt Murray. And I was
great that game too. I remember that.
And do you remember how mad I was?
Yeah,
I think I was by myself that day.
They couldn't put one past him for some reason.
And it's not like this game where like after they got their goals that the Stars just kind of late like, oh, okay, well, I guess we lost this one. Like they were like, I think there was 40 plus shots that game, and I was just ranting about how frustrated I was that the Stars couldn't get one past him. And this one is just a little bit on that one. So I don't know.
And another thing on the game is the Leafs played pretty dirty in this one. I mean, there were stupid cross checks.
Okay.
They raked the face of of one of our players early in the game. I mean, the first penalty that Hintz takes is a cross check on a dude because the dude just boarded one of his teammates and then raked his stick across his face, and it goes uncalled right in front of the ref, and he's sitting there watching it.
Yeah, that was very true. There were a lot of calls that went uncalled that probably should have been called.
And then the cross check on Marchment on the offensive blue line for the Stars, where he gets cross checked to the ice. I mean, Marchment had problems coming back from that cross check, and that would have been Timmins' third penalty of the game, and it goes uncalled. Which is crazy because the penalties were 4-1.
And it should have been more.
And it should have been more. That's what's so crazy. It's when you get that many penalties, it allows a team to play dirty like that because they know that the refs aren't going to call more and more on them because that's just how it happens.
Well, I haven't gotten the chance to check out any kind of post-game stuff because obviously I was here and I was not at the AAC, but I really hope that Marchment not being there for the third period was not because of the cross check, but was just because he's feeling sick. That's just what I'm hoping for.
He didn't really come back after it, so he only had 10:35 on of ice time tonight, and especially when you're talking about with how many players have been out, he should be up in 17 almost.
The other thing that was a little bit frustrating was just the amount of people that just were out of the lineup tonight too, James. We should mention that. Obviously, Harley, this is his second game out. It always seems to hit him really, really hard when he gets the flu. And Nils as well was out again today, so they call up Petrovic. Petrovic plays in, and honestly, and that's why I'm just so stinking frustrated. It's because like I can't pinpoint one person other than Ottinger and say that they had a bad game. Like
it just kind of happened. It's like
yeah, well,
it's just slowly like, fell over.
And then the only thing I can think of off the top of my head is, as much as I love Bischel, he was completely out of position on the second goal by Nylander. That should have been him, and Nylander was all alone in front, and he bit hard on that play by Matthews. But other than that,
I'm pretty sure you're flipped on the second goal. I'm pretty sure it was Lyubushkin actually that bit hard on the Matthews play. It was out of position.
Okay,
if you go back and look at NHL Edge, it was actually Lyubushkin who came from the other side of the ice to crash on. Yeah. So
where was Bischel? Because Bischel
was trying to cover Matthews, and he should switch when he sees that. But Lyubushkin, that's not his man, and he tried to go cover him.
Okay.
Regardless, I mean, it's kind of hard to not go cover number 34, though. It's kind of understandable. But yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, I mean, there's really not much to talk about with this game other than that, James. Is just the frustration that happened because of the lack of chances that they didn't really get, and then the people that they did get on just didn't really have it tonight. They didn't take care of it on the power play. The penalty kill, I guess you could say it was good because there was only one chance, but
I still think that this is more Wool playing really good and Otter playing really bad, and that's kind of how you lose this one. I mean, if Otter even has an average game, it even saves 800, that the Stars win the game.
Yeah, it's just like at one point there were more goals than Otter had saved.
Yeah.
So there were 3 goals and he had saved another 2.
And it didn't get better because the 4th one went in on the 8th shot.
Yeah, and he was at a 500 save percentage at one point. But what do you think of the decision to take him out for the third period, though?
I think they should have pulled him after the third one. The third one was not good, and you could tell he was kind of out of it. And then the 4th one went in, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever.
That's kind of how I was. It's like, especially after you could see it. It was so obvious, and
he just wasn't there.
And maybe that's just Pete DeBoer just trying to let Ottinger figure it out despite him not feeling great, which is what we're speculating. We're assuming that he wasn't feeling great, but so that is one thing that I think a lot of people could criticize Pete DeBoer about, is just making those decisions earlier when it seems just a little bit earlier. Like, okay, this, and the other thing that's happened a lot this year is that Stars opponents have seemed to get clumps of goals and then just kind of cruise for the rest of the game. That has felt like that's happened several times in this season, especially. And it happened literally it happened today. Like the Nashville game, they scored 3 goals in like 3.5 minutes, and that was it. Yep. They didn't need anything else. Today, the Stars were up 2-1, and in the second period, they were downhill on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto goes and gets 3 goals in the period remaining, and they barely spent any time in the Stars zone, especially in the first half of the second period. So I don't know.
It's kind of just how the Stars as a whole have gone this year. I mean, they ride and die on that multi-goal in a short amount of time. They do that to other teams all the time as well. Maybe that's more of a tell of how the league's going too, because this isn't just like Stars are the only one who do this. It feels like it's happening a lot now.
The other thing that's frustrating though, James, is that they have not been the same comeback team that they were last year. And that's just facts. This is straight up stats. I think they're like in the 20s in the league when it comes to yeah. I would not be surprised if they were like 27th, 28th in the league when it comes to come from behind wins. And they even scored the first goal today, and then even went and got a go-ahead goal. And it's not like they only had the 2-1 lead for a short period of time. They had it for a good chunk of the second period, and then it was just boom, boom, 3-2 immediately. So that's another thing that I wish they could figure it out, is just when they are scored on, and obviously the other team has the momentum, I wish they were better at, I don't want to say negating that momentum,
but a punch back.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even necessarily need to like just go straight downhill and then be just right on them the whole time. Just even out the pressure and don't let them get on their high horse and get another one. I mean, that's just been a consistent thing that has happened this year, and it's that's maybe that's another why I'm also super frustrated, is because yes, there are legitimate reasons and excuses for how they played tonight. It's still a game they should have won, and it feels like there's more of those this year, and they're losing more of those games this year than they were last year, and maybe again that's why I'm even more frustrated here tonight. I'm not mad. I'm absolutely not mad.
It's an annoying game to watch. I mean, they had full control of the game, lost control for like 5 minutes, and then had full control again.
And then sat on their butts and didn't have enough energy for the rest of the game.
I mean, I don't think that's true.
The first half of the game.
They fought back really hard. If you want to know stupid advanced stats, which I'm going to get into it just because of how tilted it is. Expected goals for the Stars, 4.26. For the Maple Leafs, 1.33. That's how tilted the ice was.
That pisses me off. See, like these sort of things piss me off. And okay, what's the deserved to win meter? Just tell me.
Oh, it's like 80-20.
See, this tells me right here that, and this has not been just the first game that they've had something like this where they've deserved to win. Well, they haven't. And that's why I'm frustrated. And I'm not just talking, and my frustration is not just from this game. Okay. It is from other games where they should have won, and they didn't because they made one stupid mistake, and then they let it snowball for just a couple of minutes, and then they let their opponent just sit on it for the rest of the time. Maybe that's the deep-seated rootedness of where all of this is coming from tonight. And it just kind of emulates itself tonight because of how the game went, and it feels like there's nothing we could do to control it other than Ottinger just needed to be better. I mean, the Nashville game, the Winnipeg Jets game, where they just kind of completely obliterated, and they were doing really well in that game. There were several other games that I can think of off of the top of my head where you or me, or me and Chris, or even just you and Chris have talked about the deserved to win meter, and the Stars are above 50%, or in some cases above 70+%, and they're losing those games. I think there is a legitimate concern there.
To me, though, that proves more that they're fighting harder in those games that they're trailing. It's not like they're not trying. They are trying. They're trying hard in those games. They're not able to come back in those games. And that is something that we were used to seeing last year that we're not seeing this year. But that's not an uncommon thing to see. It's hard to come back in the NHL. That's why scoring first is normally so important. It's just the Stars have not been able to come back the same way they did last year. And that's honestly just a season to season difference, in my opinion. That's just how it's going to be. You're going to have little things like this where we're ridiculous at home. Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense at all. But it's just how it is. Yeah.
But I mean, this is still a legitimate concern. Yes, would you at least agree with me on that?
This game, no,
because here's where
the past couple of games have been very good. The worst one was against Nashville. This one is the one weird one. Even the Nashville one, I would say, was the bad one, and they haven't played one like that in a while now.
But that's fair. But the thing is they are still losing games they should win. And
they also win games they should lose.
But that's
how it works.
If you go, I'm going to go back here tonight, and I'm going to go through all of these losses, and we'll talk about the whole overtime thing, that we're not getting any overtime losses either, which I never thought I would say. I'm worried about that, but the fact that they're not getting any loser points is a little bit off. But I would bet you go back through some of those games and you go and look at, money pucks deserve to win meter. And I would bet in more than at least half of those, probably even more than half of those, the Stars should have won those games.
That's just how these advanced stacks work too, though. When you trail for a long time in the game, you're going to end up with more chances. Typically the other team's playing more defensive. That's how it works.
And that's fair too. I just don't want, and maybe it's because I've just watched too much New York Rangers content lately. I don't want to see. But the thing is that they're not the only team that this has happened to, and it's a little bit different than
the New York Rangers
Buffalo Sabres,
are also NHL 500 right now. So it's also a team in different situations. I mean, this team is still. They're racking up points. We're sitting comfortably in the third spot. And we still think we haven't seen the best of this team. And I think that's true. And I think injuries are just making it worse and worse.
I'm kind of just talking in circles here. I could go for another 30 minutes. So let's just do this. Biggest winner, biggest loser. Who you got?
Biggest winner for me is Wool, and biggest loser is Ottinger. I do them both at the same time because really that was the difference in the game. It was goaltending all the way. I mean, Wool played out of his mind. Ottinger played bad. That was kind of what the game boiled down to for me.
I'll give my biggest loser to the power play since they didn't get a goal here tonight. Just because since you took the obvious one and Ottinger. And Jacob's reading my mind over here in the chat. Biggest winner for the Stars, the man of Steel. Steel was ridiculous tonight. And when Bork, when Bork had to take a couple of shifts off, and that was the guy that they plugged in onto the top line to give him a couple of extra shifts with Hintz and Robertson, and he didn't look out of place with those two guys, which is crazy. He's another one of those utility guys like Dodonov that just plug him anywhere, and he seems to do really well. So I'll give my biggest winner to the man of Steel here tonight. Okay, James. Next game is Saturday, correct?
Yep.
Got a couple of days off, and
we don't get the stupid 6:30 start time. Thank you, Toronto.
Yeah, screw you, Canada. Like, come on.
It's every time, dude. it makes me so upset. Oh, by the way, game Friday, not Saturday. Friday.
Sorry,
Friday,
I meant
7 o'clock.
Anyways, yep. We're just gonna have to hope for better outcome in the next one. I'm gonna say it. This feels like another trap game. With the Rangers coming into town, and I felt this way.
Both teams are gonna be upset,
and the Stars better be really upset. And I hope that they find. I feel like this is like the bottom pit of the sickness right now. But that's just how it feels like. That this was the worse they're going to feel, and they're going to come out of it on the other side now.
Especially if we can get Harley back. That's going to make this team look leaps and bounds better.
That will help on both sides of the puck, offensively and defensively. Okay, anyways. Thank you guys so much for following along with us live here tonight. I know we did this kind of late, so thank you for following us. James, thank you for doing this late with me, even though I know you're an insomniac anyways, like I am. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook and Game Time. They're our sponsors, as always. That promo code is THPN. Sarcastic R, anywhere around social media if you want to follow us there. And if you're watching us on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're listening on the audio side, please consider leaving us a 5-star review anywhere you are listening to there. Alongside James and Amanda and Travis in the background here behind me, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. We'll be back with you guys again on Friday.